Way up Mount Champion, some 12,000 feet, stands a partially collapsed mine. Buried under the talc deposit and lumber are stories long since forgotten. For over 130 years, the mill has stood defiant of the harsh elements, but time can only tell how long it will remain. My friends and I were on a mission: brave the elements, climb the mountain, and meet the mill. I'm Caleb with Baker Overland, and me and Benji and Jacob traveled up here to Colorado to meet with Tyler from Independence Overland, and I'm just absolutely blown away by the scale and majesty of this space. We're here at Twin Lakes, Colorado right now. We've got an awesome trip planned, so I'm glad you guys are here. Let's get into it. The Colorado Gold Rush saw its official beginning at the start of 1859. George Andrew Jackson discovered, while mining at the intersection of Chicago Creek and Clear Creek, gold. Jackson had experienced mining in California and was drawn to the area for its hot springs. His knowledge led him to what is now Idaho Springs. Jackson didn't reveal his discovery immediately, but once the news broke out, the rush deemed Jackson's diggings was almost instantaneous. Gold was found in the river and in the rocks. This led to a booming mining town with the development of mines, mills, and more. Flash forward to 1881. Tingley S. Wood discovered gold on Mount Champion, northeast of Independence Pass, between Leadville and Aspen. Soon other prospectors would arrive and stake out claims nearby. A two-stamp mill was built to process the gold and silver-bearing quartz, and the crushed ore was transported by wagon to a smelter near Leadville for further processing. In the early 1900s, Wood's mine and other mines in the area were purchased and consolidated by the Mount Champion Gold Mining Company. A mill was built in the upper Halfmoon Valley, and a 6,100-foot aerial tramway was constructed to transport the ore from the mine over the mountain to the mill. The aerial tram had 42 buckets that weighed 600 pounds apiece, and each bucket could carry up to 9 cubic feet of ore. The aerial tram was operated by gravity and was controlled by a brakeman. The mine and mill operated until around 1919, when the price to ship the ore to Leadville became too expensive to maintain a profit. The lives of many men were lost deep in the mine shafts. We spent several evenings in group chats and Zoom calls discussing potential routes to the mine. Even with a game plan, we couldn't be certain the trails weren't blocked or closed due to the recent fires and landslides. But we had a plan. The next morning, alarms went off at a painful 3 a.m.
Nectar of the gods.
Somehow, though, I didn't mind. That hint of adventure in the air is a stronger incentive than a good night's sleep. The warm southern sun peeked up over the low encroaching hillside in typical form of which I'm accustomed, but this would be the last morning of the trip without the magnificent tectonic marvel known as the Rockies dominating the horizon. Some moments, you just have to pause and breathe in. After 16 long hours on the road, we rented a small cabin, hit some oxygen cans, and went to sleep.
Chef Jacob doing it.
Next morning, we took advantage of the indoor plumbing and electricity. Over breakfast, we discussed the plan of attack. We'd head north, around the Rio Grande and along the Arkansas River. Tyler would be meeting us around noon at the Mine Gulch. We'd grab lunch there and wait for him.
I'm not sure how far out we are, but we should all probably fill up on fuel.
We pit stopped to gas up, and I used a couple of Rollercam straps to fasten my Starlink to the roof. Cell coverage out here is spotty, and while this isn't the fanciest solution, it worked great. It feels like every 5 minutes we're entering like another planet. In the Ozarks, everything's like looks very similar, you know? And we have a bunch of cool water, so I love the Ozarks. But here, it's like 1 minute you're forest and pine trees, the next minute it's like Mars. It looks like another planet. It's insane. So cool.
Arkansas butter knife.
It's clean enough for you?
There's just something about lunch on a tailgate, moving water, and thin mountain air. It decreases stress, increases testosterone, and makes me feel alive. Tyler radioed that he was near, so we cleaned up lunch and headed his direction. Tyler! Needless to say, I was stoked to see him.
How's it going, man?
You cool if I call you Teabag this entire trip?
It's perfect. It is absolutely perfect.
We found a good level spot just outside the National Forest to air down. The route Tyler planned bounced back and forth from pavement to dirt a couple times. Normally, I wouldn't air down until we hit the rougher stuff, but with our Morflate systems, it's just kind of too easy not to. Going on a trip with a group of content creators is both awesome and hilarious. Awesome because you don't have to explain to anyone why you need 15 minutes to set up a shot. Hilarious because 4 grown men walking around filming each other is just straight goofy. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, and how do you guys like to camp exactly? What time do you like being to camp by? Obviously, we want to do content and everything, so I just wanted to feel that out and see what you guys want to do.
For a few hours before dark, or if we find like an epic campsite, I don't care setting up early either.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Benji. I prefer setting up when there's still sunlight, but I'm also not one that wants to get to camp at like 3 o'clock necessarily.
Okay, so you guys are on point. That's usually what I do anyway.
This countryside is something else. Familiar, yet distinct. We aren't high in the mountains yet, and that's probably why I feel so at home. But all it takes is a couple of deep breaths to remind you that this ain't the Ozarks. So we had to stop on the way to our first camp spot because we saw this old cabin up here on the hill. So freaking cool. So I'm gonna go up here and take a closer look. Let's go check it out. You can see that old window right there. So awesome. Just to see what the view was like for this guy. You know, this was people's lives. This was probably all hand hewn. You can tell by how uneven it is. And the fact that here in 2024, it's still standing and it still looks super substantial. That's just wild.
Hey, we crashed. Give us just a second.
Is it still in one piece?
Have you had your license, Jacob?
Don't fly in sport mode and crash into the side of a mountain.
The last time I was in this general area, I did the same exact thing.
Coloring right now with the hills and the dark sky is just nuts.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I was hoping, and I mean, we still got a little bit of land to go through right here. I was hoping we could get down a little bit. That way we're not lightning rods up on a hillside.
He just got that massive strike with our rigs in the frame.
Awesome, well done.
Benji, your swing out just came open. Rollercam, Benji?
My weld's broke, not Jacob's weld. It's mine. Weld broke. Because these things, they look bigger on TV than they do, or online than they do in real person. So we're gonna put a roller cam on there. This one's the beefier 3-foot one. It's about what, 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. I'm just gonna put it on the spare tire one for now. And if I have to, I'm gonna loop them both, but it ain't going anywhere.
After a quick trail repair, we continued on towards the mine. Driving this expansive country has me imagining what those early hopeful prospectors must have felt out here. Such vast, untapped potential. In my research, I came across the journals of George Jackson, the man I mentioned earlier who was the first to discover gold here. Something about reading his first-hand account put it into perspective for me. The following entries come from 1897. January 2nd. Drum and Kit woke me by low growls at daylight. Sheep all gone. Mountain lion within 20 steps. Pulled my gun from under the blanket and shot too quick. Broke his shoulder, but followed up and killed him. Clear high wind and very cold. In camp all day. Built bow house and ate fat sheep all day. Bread all gone. Plenty of fat meat. No wanted bread. January 3rd. Still clear and very cold. Sun dogs. Sheep came down again. Are very tame. Walk up to within 100 yards of camp and stand and stamp at me and the dogs. Mountain lion killed one 300 yards from camp today. Scattered the whole band again. Went up to the main creek to another tributary coming in from the south, a little larger than this one. January 4th. Pleasant day. Made a long tramp today, followed up main fork 5 miles. Here are the main creek forks, each one about the same width. Followed up the North Fork about 3 miles, cannons and plenty of snow. Got back to camp after dark. Mountain lion stole all my meat today at camp. No supper tonight. Damn him. January 5th. Up before day. Killed a fat sheep and wounded a mountain lion before sunrise. Eat ribs for breakfast, drank last of my coffee. After breakfast, moved up half a mile to the next creek on the south side and made a new camp under the big fir tree. Good gravel here. Looks like it carries gold.
Going back to the Route 66 thing.
Yeah.
There is a YouTube guy called, I think, Mr. Who or the Who Travels or something rather.
Mm-hmm.
And all he does is target Route 66 thing.
Her house, she said her house has a view of that bridge.
I wonder if it's that trailer.
Love to get with her and find out what other crazy stories or things have you studied or written about that we could then take that.
Well, the thing about locals, and especially in rural areas, they all want to talk. They don't have nobody to talk to. And you'd be surprised by the stories and information.
So there's like all this weird stuff, but the National Park Service is very like cagey about talking about it. And all these people go missing, lots of them. Yeah, and so it's kind of like in the vein of the Skinwalker stuff of like all these people go missing, and there's tons.
We settled into a nice campsite on the ridge and called it a night. If only these hills could talk, what stories would they tell?
Best bacon you've ever had today?
Today was the day. We started the climb up Champion Mountain. Once again, my mind on Jackson's journals. January 6, pleasant day. Built a big fire on Rock Rim to thaw the gravel, kept it up all day. Wolverine came into camp while I was at fire. Dogs killed him after I broke his back with a belt axe. Hell of a fight. January 7th, clear day. Removed fire embers and dug into rim on bedrock. Panned out 8 treaty cups of dirt and found nothing but fine colors. 9th cup, I got 1 nugget of coarse gold. Feel good tonight. Dogs know. Drum is lame all over. Sewed up gash in his leg tonight. Wolverine no good for dog. January 8th. Pleasant day. Well, Tom, old boy, I've got the diggings at last. But can't be back in a week. Dogs can't travel. Damn a Wolverine. Dug and panned today until my belt knife was worn out. So I'll have to quit or use my skinning knife. I have about ½ ounce of gold, so we'll quit and try to get back in the spring. Reading his words, the monotony, the challenge, the risk, the reward, it deeply inspires me and has me wanting to visit this mine all the more.
We're at 11,000 feet. I mean, everywhere you look. Snow up on the mountains over there. Like, there's not a bad angle. Look at this. Crazy.
Just when I thought the views couldn't get any better, we found it.
So we are just under 12,000 feet right here, and we're south of Geneva, and right behind me is a historical landmark called the Halfmoon Mine. It's closed now. There is a road to access that, and we're gonna go down and actually see if we can get to it that way, but we think it's gated off, so this is probably as close as we can get. So it's owned by the Matoa Gold Mining Company out of Colorado Springs, and from this spot, it goes 250 feet down to where they hit ore. And so this was a place where that was mined and pumped out of here. And it's hard to imagine like how much work went into that. I'm like sucking air up here. The air is so thin. I know obviously you acclimate to that over time, but super cool historical spot. I'm glad we got to see it.
It's hard to say what it is that draws me to this sort of thing. It's probably a lot of stuff. The camaraderie, the adventure, the quiet. But even more than that, I think it feels like connecting with the past. Experiences like these can reach back into time, grab hold of a moment or a memory that may not belong to you. It's not yours, but you can borrow it, like someone else's photograph or journal, and view the world through its lens. Ultimately, these adventures are about expanding horizons. So what of those daring prospectors lives in you? What wild dreams do you hear calling? My favorite poem by Frost ends like this. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. And so the chapter ends at Halfmoon Gulch. But the story, well, that's just begun. We buttoned up the trucks and made our way down the mountain. The longest part of the journey would start when the dirt was paved. I find that trips like these take a small part of you. It holds it back, sort of stores it in the hills. And maybe that's what we feel calling us back. A reunion. It's worth the trek.
This entire experience has been absolutely incredible. Being in Colorado really does feel like another world to me based off what I'm used to in the Ozarks. Love the Ozarks, but this is just totally different. And it's so fun coming here and seeing all the beautiful mountains and the streams. And to wrap this video up, since we're shooting the outro, we had to come down here to the Arkansas River right before we pack up and head back home to Arkansas. It's been a great trip. I want to say a special thank you to Tyler from Independence Overland. If you guys don't subscribe to his channel, make sure you go, like, and subscribe all his stuff. He's incredible and making awesome content. He actually planned the entire route for this trip. They've been a huge help, so thank you to Tyler. I want to say thank you to the brands that made this trip possible, that sponsored this trip. That's Rollercam and Morphlate. Incredible companies, incredible products that really believe in investing in the outdoor space. You can check out links to their websites in the description down below. Great products and just cool people. Thank you to all our members. Throw your names up right here. Those of you that are supporting the channel. If you're not a member and if you'd like to become one, you can click that join button right here on YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can actually stay here on YouTube. And yeah, just an incredible trip. I'm excited to get home, but I'm also sad to be leaving. It's gonna be something that definitely sticks with me in my mind for a long time. So if you want to watch another video on the channel, you can check out this one up here or this one down here. But more importantly, remember, the more you camp, the less deer the aliens abduct.